Hey everyone, this is Kristen from Salem State's PAIR program. I'm here today to show you guys a quick activity called the coping hand. As we've talked about in a previous video I recorded for you guys on what is coping, we touched on some coping strategies, including grounding. The coping hand is a great exercise to help with those grounding activities. What you're going to do is grab yourself a piece of paper. I've got here just some garden variety printer paper and something to write with. I have a couple of markers here. You can use pen, pencil, whatever works for you, whatever you have handy. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your hand and you're going to trace it on the paper. Something that we probably did back in preschool or kindergarten times and probably haven't done much since. You're going to trace your hand, and then you're going to think about what your five senses are. And you're going to write one sense for each finger, and then across the palm, you're going to write movement. So we've got sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch, and then again across the bottom of our palm, movement, which, while not a sense, is another really great tool to ground. So once you have your hand with your labeled spaces, you're going to think for a minute about what are some strategies or some things that can help ground you and help you with coping that fall into each of those categories. So for example, think about sight. How can you use your sight to ground you? One of the things that I work with people on is looking around and just seeing what is in their space and just naming that. So if I look around right now, I've got a plant, I've got my phone, the computer in front of me. Just kind of looking and labeling and focusing on what is in your environment in the moment. Another way to use sight is to choose a color and look around your space and count up how many things of that color are in your space. Or just thinking about what you can look at that is grounding and calming to you. Maybe some photos, maybe it's watching something on TV, maybe it's scrolling through Pinterest for decorating or baking ideas, maybe it's looking at pictures of a place that's really relaxing and grounding to you. It can be anything that works for you that uses your sense of sight. Next, you want to think about hearing. So again, using your sense of hearing, what is grounding and calming? Is it listening to a podcast or listening to music? Conversely, is it just sitting and enjoying the quiet and the silence? Next is your sense of taste. How do you use taste to ground? One way you can do that is to taste something that has a strong flavor, a lemon head candy or a cinnamon candy. Or a mint, something that can really bring your focus to that sense of taste. For me, my favorite way is to make a cup of tea and sit and sip and enjoy that tea. Next, think about your sense of smell. How can you use your sense of smell to ground and to cope? For me, I really like to light a scented candle, particularly a scent of something baking, because that makes me feel really warm and comfortable and calm. So right now I've got my Christmas cookie candle burning in the other room and I can smell that throughout the house, which is really grounding and calming for me. For you, think about, what scents do you like? What scents are grounding for you? Or, the other thing you can do is really just kind of take a minute and just smell and see what scents do you notice in your environment to really bring yourself into this present moment. Last in senses is touch. So how do you use your sense of touch to ground yourself? That can be as simple as placing your hands on the table in front of you or on your legs and just feeling your presence in the room. That's really grounding, to just feel yourself rooted to where you are. If you have a pet, sometimes petting that animal can be really grounding. I have a cat, Atticus, and he's very cuddly, and sitting with him on my lap, just petting him, can be very grounding and relaxing for me. So think about what is grounding and relaxing for you. So take a minute, think about your five senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. And fill in some things there. And then lastly, let's talk about movement. Movement is a really great way to bring yourself back into the moment and really break the cycle of those thoughts that are feeling stuck or really overwhelming or anxiety provoking. Movement can really change up the energy in your body. And it can be as simple as standing up if you're sitting down or laying down. It can be standing on one leg and really focusing on balancing. It can be going for a walk or a run or exercising, doing some yoga or some stretching, standing on your head if that's something you do or can do. Anything to kind of change up that energy and give your brain something to focus on other than those thoughts that are becoming overwhelming in the moment. So write a few things down there for movement as well. There are a couple ways to use this activity, and one is, just as we're doing now, write them down, take it and tuck it away somewhere or hang it up or do whatever works for you. I find that sometimes in the moment, particularly for people who suffer with anxiety or depression, survivors who are suffering with any sort of post-trauma symptoms, it can be really useful to not have to remember in the moment, what strategy am I supposed to use right now to feel better? That can feel really overwhelming. So if you have your coping hand and you've got everything written on it, you pull it out, you look at it and you say, oh, right, I can make a cup of tea. I can listen to a podcast. That could be really useful. The other way to use it is in those moments when you're feeling really ungrounded and dysregulated, to grab a piece of paper and something to write with and do this activity from scratch. Trace your hand, write your senses, write something down in each sense to remind you. Doing that, your brain is going to be focusing on the activity and not necessarily on whatever is causing the discomfort in the moment. Those are two really useful ways to implement this activity into your daily life. Remember, it can be really difficult for anyone during times of stress. When you're a survivor, it can be even more difficult to access the things that could help you in the moment in the middle of a pandemic. So let's find some ways that you can utilize skills that are right at hand, literally and figuratively. So hopefully you found this helpful, and I'll be back with some more tips and techniques. Thanks so much.